Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. It wouldn't be a Tuesday if we weren't here answering your property questions. So that is exactly what we're going to do in a second for Lauren and Tom. But first, we have to give you that quick recap of how you send your question in.
It remains very easy, and that's why we keep turning up each week, because you lovely people keep giving us your questions. You can call in and leave us a voicemail via 013 808 0035, or you can go to our website, propertyhub.net/ask. And again, just leave us a message, and hopefully you'll hear yourself on the podcast, just like Lauren's about to.
Hi Rob and Rob, my name's Lauren and I'm a 23-year-old graduate who's looking to invest in property for the first time. I just want to say thank you for all of the podcasts. They're super informative. And I'm currently reading The Complete Guide to Property Investment by Rob D, which is so instructive and has been amazing. So thank you. So as I said, I'm looking to invest in property for the first time, and my aim is to achieve capital growth as the market recovers from the current coronavirus hit, with the aim that my brother and I can afford a deposit for our first houses, hopefully in 7 years' time. I have £126,000 and I'm currently looking at Birmingham as I know it has good capital growth from my research. My first question is, should I invest in 2 more expensive properties for this money, say with a £50,000 deposit for each? Or should I prioritise quantity over quality and buy maybe 3 or 4 less expensive properties? My second question is, should I be looking to spread these purchases across various areas other than just Birmingham? And if so, where would you recommend for capital growth? Thanks.
Lauren, thank you for the question. Sounds like you're in a really good position. So what should you do next? Well, you said, should I invest in 2 more expensive properties, say with a £50,000 deposit for each? And on a podcast, without knowing you, can only give a very general steer. But I would say if you're investing in capital growth in Birmingham, then probably yes. Because very roughly speaking, a £50,000 deposit will get you to a purchase of $200,000 if you're using a 75% mortgage. And that in Birmingham, where prices are already fairly high, isn't going to give you a full choice of absolutely everything you might want to buy. There's still going to be a lot that's beyond your reach at that price point. You could, of course, go cheaper. You could go outside the city centre. You could go into areas where property prices are lower, but that would likely go against your aim of benefiting primarily from capital growth. Because again, it's only a general rule, but it tends to be the case that the best properties in the best areas grow first and fastest. As for spreading across different areas, different cities, it sounds like you're talking about, you can do that. And there is a benefit in that by diversifying, you're more likely to catch a city that does particularly well. And you won't be negatively affected if one of the places you invest does a lot less well. But I definitely wouldn't feel like you have to do that. People get hung up on which city a lot. And I see why, because that's the first decision you have to make. And it seems like an important one. And it is an important one, but you can make really, really good or really, really bad investments anywhere. So if you're being hands-off and you're investing from a distance, there's no particular reason not to invest in multiple different locations, as long as you've got the time to do the research and do it well. But that's definitely not a requirement. Rather than investigating multiple areas, you might find it a better use of your time to get to know one area really well and make sure that the investments that you do in that area are the best they can possibly be.
Now, we do get a lot of questions in like this about how to spend X amount of funds when starting. And everyone's situations are slightly different, and that's understandable. But what we have done is to try and guide people as best we can, is we've created a YouTube video. It's called You've Got 50k, Now Let's Invest. And if you go to our YouTube channel, which you'll find by searching for Property Hub UK, you'll see it up there. It's pretty easy to find. It's got a big 50,000 on the thumbnail. Now, I appreciate the amount you're working with, Lauren, is a different amount, but the principles still apply. So if you are listening to this and you have a sum of money that you're looking to get started with, but don't know what steps to take, then make sure you check out that video. So thank you, Lauren. Next up, our question comes in from Tom.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's Tom from Stamford. Loving the podcast, really enjoying it. But something that doesn't seem to have come up very often is subletting to councils. Just south of us is Peterborough, and there are some relatively cheap properties in less than prime areas. And one of the things that the council's currently advertising are taking private properties on and providing a fixed income for 3 to 5 years. Just curious to know what your thoughts are regarding this, and keep up the good work. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for the question, Tom. You're right. It's something I think we've referred to in passing. I think we might have mentioned it a couple of times in Ask Rob and Rob, but haven't spoken about it much. So let's put that right. This is something I actually did many, many years ago. And it worked out pretty well. On the whole, it's something that can be very positive. So the general idea is you hand over your property to the council. They use it for whatever they want to use it for. It might be housing people who are on the council waiting list. It might be for housing people more short term, like asylum seekers or people who need emergency accommodation. But whatever they use it for and whatever happens, they pay you a fixed amount every month for this period of 3 to 5 years, whatever you agree. The benefits of that are really obvious. You get paid and you have to do literally nothing at all. And even if the property is empty or whatever goes on, you get paid. And at the end of the period, if you don't renew, they're meant to give you the property back in the same state as you gave it to them. Now, in my experience, they have quite a generous definition of wear and tear. So that might actually not be the case. But nevertheless, it's okay to do a bit of work because you haven't had to do any for years. The downsides, they'll generally pay less than market rate. So you need to weigh that up against the time savings and the savings from having a letting agent involved and repairs and things like that and work out how that balance works for you. And the other potential drawback depends on your strategy. So we just heard from Lauren, who's investing for capital growth. So for Lauren, it would be a terrible idea because the type of properties this will work well for are not in areas or the types of property that are going to experience capital growth until very late in the cycle. If you're investing primarily for income though, it can work really well. So really, it's going to come down to, do you want to maximize the income you can get from a property, or do you want to maximize your time and use that time to potentially earn more money to invest in the next property? That's a decision for you to make. But hopefully that gives you some idea of the things to be thinking about.
So we'll be back on Thursday with the Property Podcast, and we'll be answering more of your questions next Tuesday in Ask Rob and Rob. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.